In a world that's always in flux, just following the herd can be a huge mistake. So, how do you actually get ahead? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful mental model that basically flips expectations completely on their head. It's called reverse thinking. This classic quote from Warren Buffett, it's pretty much the heart and soul of reverse thinking. And the idea behind it is so simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. When you do the opposite of what the crowd is doing, it forces you to find a deeper insight, something that everyone else is probably missing. Okay, so admiring the philosophy is one thing, but actually using it, that's a whole other ballgame. So the real question is, how do you take this big, brilliant idea and turn it into a structured framework that any business can use to really innovate and find that strategic edge? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into. We'll start with the core framework, and then we're going to look at three key pillars: how to flip assumptions, how to test your ideas for weakness, and finally, how to act counterintuitively to make a huge impact. We'll even see how you can supercharge the whole thing with AI, and we'll finish up by asking how you can be bold. All right, so let's start with the big question. What is reverse thinking, really? Well, think of it as this sweet spot where critical thinking and creative thinking meet. It's a way to systematically break down the rules we all operate by so we can see what's on the other side. The whole framework really boils down to three key pillars, three different ways to put this into action. First up is assumption reversal, which is all about finding new ideas. Then there's role reversal, which helps you find all the weak spots in those ideas. And finally, tactical reversal, which is where you act in unexpected ways to make a serious impact. All right, let's dive into that first pillar. This one, assumption reversal, is all about taking a hard look at the things we just assume to be true about our products, our customers, even our own business. It's basically a direct attack on groupthink, and it's an amazing way to open up a whole new world of possibilities. A great example of this, look at what the cosmetics giant Shiseido did. For years, the standard way was to add a little bit of skincare stuff to foundation. Shiseido just flipped it. They started with a really high-quality serum and then put foundation qualities into that. And just like that, they created a whole new category. And the result? It was absolutely massive. Their foundation serum was a runaway hit. It didn't just grab the #1 market share in its category in Japan, but it also brought in a whole new, younger generation of customers, something the brand had been trying to do for years. It totally changed the game for them. Okay, here's another fantastic example. The industry rules for eye screening devices were that they had to be super expensive, huge, and could only be used by specialists. For Curious Health looked at every single one of those assumptions and just said, why? What if they designed for the exact opposite? Cheap, portable, and easy to use. And by doing that, by flipping all those industry standards on their head, they created this lightweight, affordable scanner that anyone could use, anywhere. This didn't just make a new product, it totally changed the game for public health. They've now screened over 16 million people for eye diseases. I mean, this just goes to show you this isn't just about business strategy, it can literally change lives. Okay, let's talk about pillar number 2, role reversal. This is where you basically become your own worst critic. Instead of just looking for reasons why your idea is great, you actively try to break it. You look for every single weak spot to make sure you're not just being blindly optimistic. And you won't believe who does this best? Netflix. Instead of just crossing their fingers and hoping their systems don't crash, they built this thing called Chaos Monkey that literally goes around and breaks stuff on purpose. It randomly shuts down their own live servers, which forces their engineers to build an incredibly tough, resilient system from the ground up. So, does this crazy idea of breaking your own stuff actually work? Well, by 2024, Netflix was pulling in $39 billion in revenue. It's that mindset, building for failure, that's made them one of the most reliable streaming platforms on the planet. All right, that brings us to our third and final pillar, tactical reversal. This is all about doing the exact opposite of what people expect you to do. Not just to be a rebel, but to cut through all the noise and get a result that really works in your favor. And maybe the most famous example of this ever is from Patagonia, back in 2011. Picture this, it's Black Friday, the biggest shopping day of the year. What do? They take out a full-page ad in the New York Times with a message you'd never expect from a retailer. Don't buy this jacket. Now, this message was so weird, but so perfectly on brand for them and their focus on sustainability that it just clicked with people. And get this, instead of killing sales, their revenue jumped by a staggering 30% right after. It just proved that having a real purpose can be way more powerful than a hard sell. And it's not a one-off thing. More recently, a defense tech company called Ondurel did something similar with their hiring. They ran ads that looked like they had been vandalized, with "Don't work at Andurel" spray painted all over them. The message was pretty clear. This place is not for everybody. You have to admit, that's a pretty gutsy move. But boy, did it pay off. The campaign went viral, it weeded out all the casual applicants and attracted exactly the kind of super passionate people they wanted. And here's the wild part. Guess what happened to their job applications? Up by 30%, the exact same number as Patagonia. Okay, so we've got these three powerful pillars. But what if we could give them superpowers? That's where AI comes in. You can think of AI as this perfect partner in crime for reverse thinking. It's a tireless partner that can challenge all your assumptions and come up with unconventional ideas at a scale no human team could ever match. Let me show you what I mean. So normally you might ask an AI, hey, what new features do our customers want? Right? Standard stuff. But with reverse thinking, you'd ask it something totally different. Like, what would happen if we got rid of our single best feature? Or, tell me 10 ways our business could fail, and then figure out how one of those failures could actually become a success. See? It forces a completely different kind of thinking. So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? Reverse thinking isn't just about being different for the sake of being different. It's this really smart, strategic way to get ahead of the curve, to see things no one else is seeing, and to build a business that's truly resilient. It really is a game changer. So I'll leave you with this one question. In your job, your industry, or even just in your own way of thinking, what's that one unquestioned assumption that you are going to dare to flip first?